right now. So if you want to revisit some of this content again, you'll be able to do so because we'll be able to share out the recording after. I want to share a tutorial acknowledgement as well. So the University of Waterloo acknowledges that much of our work takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our main campus is situated on the Haldimand Tract, the land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. Our active work towards reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is coordinated within the Office of Indigenous Relations. So as a personal acknowledgement, as someone whose ancestors settled in the territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Ewendake, Neo-Wencio, and Mississauga peoples, I seek to learn more about the injustices Indigenous peoples face, as well as a call to actions advocated for by attending workshops, reading, and conversing with the people around me. I recognize that acknowledgements like this are only one step towards reconciliation, and there is still a lot of work to be done across Canada related to the inequities, barriers, and damage colonization has caused. So before I hand it off to our awesome staff at the Statistical Consulting and Survey Research Unit, to say it again, just in case the recording didn't catch it the first time, I also want to just mention that our next Grad Navigate event will be on predatory publishing, if that is of interest to anyone. And it will be on June 19th. And I'm going to put the registration right in the chat if that is something that you would like to potentially attend. And with that, I will hand it off to Lindsay and the rest of the team.
Thanks so much, Ashley. So I'm just sharing my screen. Just want to make sure, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So welcome and thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Lindsay Webster. I'm the Senior Manager at the Statistical Consulting and Survey Research Unit, or SCSRU for short, and that's how we'll be referring to it for the rest of the presentation because it's such a long name. I'm joined by my colleagues Reem Tawfik, Hannah Clyde, and Jocelyn Go. So as Ashley mentioned, during this webinar, we're going to give you a quick rundown of our services that we offer and share some helpful tips for conducting your research and doing best practices. So to kick things off, we'd love to know you guys a bit better. So if you could drop the name of your department or your faculty in the chat, that would be great. I don't see anything coming up. Are you guys typing your faculty into the chat? Perfect. It's somebody from arts, psychology, math, computer science, civil engineering, environment. That's great. It's great to see such a diverse group of students. We're actually founded through a collaboration of 2 professors, one from the Department of Sociology, Dr. Joan Goiter, and the other from Stats and Actuarial Science, Dr. Mary Thompson. And interdisciplinary collaboration remains an important part of our mandate to this day. So, are you thinking about conducting research? If so, a survey is a great way to obtain data from human subjects, and we can definitely help you guide you through this process. If you've already conducted your research and have data, we can also help you with the data analysis. So you can collaborate with us in a consultation, you can visit our help desk, or we can conduct the data analysis for you. And we can help at any stage of your research. So from project design, we can help you with your grant application if it involves a survey research component. We can help with the ethics application and data collection, not to mention everything that happens in between. So survey development, sample calculations, programming your survey, and after the project is out of field, we can help you with data analysis, result interpretations, and report writing. So here are some ways we can help you with your research. We can determine the most effective sample size and survey methodology. So if your research involves a more complex analysis, you'll likely need a larger sample size than if you're only conducting descriptive statistics. Also, some survey modes are more effective for reaching specific groups or populations, so we can help you advise you on which one would be best. We can help craft crystal clear questions. It's important that the survey questions are clear and written in plain language that everyone can understand. We can help you structure your survey to minimize bias. So you'll want to avoid leading questions and bias as these can impact the accuracy of your survey results. We can help you collect the highest quality data. So the survey data is only as strong as the wording of the questions, the setup of the questions, and the quality of the survey programming. So we can absolutely help you with that. And we can help you maximize response rate. So this can be done in a variety of ways, from using the best recruitment strategies to offering incentives for participation to ensuring the survey isn't too long, and also crafting a compelling introduction or letter of information that will help encourage respondents to participate. So we offer a free 1-hour consultation to the UW community. During this free hour, we can help you determine the best methodology to use, help you determine the best sample size, like I mentioned before, help with your ethics application, especially if using a web panel, or we can help with questionnaire review. We also offer some survey-related services at a cost recovery rate. So if you don't have time to conduct your research, or if you don't have the know-how, we're absolutely happy to help you and provide our expertise in survey research. So we can help with questionnaire design. So when developing questionnaires, we use best practices for writing the introductions, making sure they're compelling, like I mentioned before, giving the respondents all the information they need to make an informed decision of whether they want to participate or not, determining whether to use open versus closed questions, scale construction, developing the best question wording, and also ensuring the survey flows and structure it in a way to ensure the best possible user experience. We can also help with data collection. So we can help you collect your data using a variety of modes. We do telephone, so we can interview in both English and French. We offer online surveys or web surveys, this mode being the most popular as it's cost effective and it's lots of people use the internet now and email. We have mixed mode where we can recruit from web or phone and recruit from phone or mail and push them to web. We also do completely mail surveys, or we also do some face-to-face interviews, so a variety of modes. We also do data collection. I mentioned that. Survey programming. We have 2 highly skilled programmers who specialize in both Qualtrics and Voxco. They're experts in ensuring the surveys are programmed accurately to capture reliable data, and they'll make sure the survey setup is correct, enabling the necessary survey options, programming skips properly, and configure the survey disposition to support accurate reporting and response rate tracking. So we also offer a variety of data analysis services. So the simplest option being top-line data analysis, so it's basic frequencies or cross tabulations. We can also do subgroup analysis, so breaking down your survey data into smaller groups based on characteristics like age, gender, location, or any other relevant categories. We can help you create tables and make interpretations. We can do graphical representations and infographics, and sample weighting, which can be really useful if your data is not representative of your population. And we ensure that all the data we collect is reliable and secure. So we have our call center that's actually located on campus. It's been in operation since 1999 and it's located in M3. We have highly trained and experienced interviewers that conduct our telephone surveys. And we love to hire students. So if you're looking for a part-time job or you know of someone else who would love to get some experience conducting surveys, please reach out to us. We have expert programmers that have combined 35 years of experience. They've been doing this for quite a while. And our surveys are hosted here and the data is collected and stored on our servers, unlike other programs like SurveyMonkey, where your data is stored in the US and may not be completely secure. And we also keep all of our data confidential, including any sample files and respondent contact information that will not be shared with anyone outside of our group. So we stay informed and educated on the latest trends and best practices in survey research. We're members of the American Association for Public Opinion Research, or APOR. They are a leading professional organization of public opinion and survey research professionals. And we adhere to their code of professional ethics and practices. Also, our final disposition codes, that's just like the survey results of each record, are adapted from the APOR list of standard codes for telephone and online surveys. So our outcome rate calculations such as response rate, contact rate, cooperation rate are all based on their guidelines. Okay, so now I'm going to switch it over to Reem Tofik, who's going to do an activity for you. Take it away, Reem.
Thanks, Lindsay. Hi, everybody. My name is Reem Tofik. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm one of two project managers with the SCSRU, and I'm very excited about us doing this activity. Hopefully everybody's awake, you've had a chance to have your coffee. We're about 15 minutes in, so we thought it would be fun to discuss as a group. I don't think we'll be doing breakout rooms. We can just discuss this as a bigger group, but things that make a bad question in a questionnaire. So as Lindsay mentioned, questionnaire design and questionnaire review is a big part of the consultations that we provide oftentimes. Ensuring that questions are asked just right is essential, and it may sound pretty common sense, but it's essential to getting at the things that you want to get at, right? Whatever your research questions are, you want to make sure that the questions you design are accurately measuring just that. So as I have in the hint underneath, what makes a bad question there? Lots and lots and lots of things can go wrong with creating a survey question. So we thought it would be fun if we could skip to the next slide to go through some of these, believe it or not, actual questions that have been drafted as part of questionnaires. And perhaps we can just go through as a group, and I'll feel free to use either the chat function, or we can feel free to also, I think there's a raise hand function on Zoom as well, but you can just unmute yourself. You can have a discussion about what makes each of these questions potentially problematic, or if you think they're good, why you think they're good, or suggestions for how we can make them better. So the first question we have is, can we ask your gender? No response options there. Question number, we're just going to go horizontally. Question number 2 is, how old are you? With the following response options underneath it, if you can see it. Question number 3 is, where do you live? The response options are a house, an apartment, and a dorm. And question number 4, how was your experience? Okay, good, fantastic, unforgettable, and mind-blowing. Clearly a very great scale with awesome options. So we'll start with, can we ask your gender? I'm going to open it up to the group. Does anybody have any thoughts about whether this is a good question, bad question? We don't like to say good or bad, but like, is this, do you think, the best possible way we can ask this question? And if not, why? Don't be shy. And I can, I guess, get us started on, I mean, the fact that there is no question mark to begin with. You want to make sure that your questions are asked grammatically correct, you're using, correct punctuation. It's these little things that not only make the questionnaire feel unpolished or potentially not as like official, not as professional, but it also just may throw some people off. You may get fewer responses. And so you want to make sure that everything is grammatically correct, you're using correct punctuation, all those things. And so if nobody else has any thoughts, oh, Richard, go ahead. Thank you.
So the response would be yes or no, which is not necessarily what the researcher may be trying to learn. They may actually be trying to learn what the gender is. And if someone doesn't want to give a gender, they can list the genders and they can say prefer not to say.
Precisely. Thank you so much. Yeah. So exactly that. Can we ask your gender is a yes or no question. I would like to venture a guess that the researcher actually wants to get at, a gender or gender identity type question, and in which case this would not be the correct way to pose that question. Oftentimes we always follow the best practice kind of standards for how to ask these types of questions as well. So as Lindsay mentioned, APOR as well as the university has some pretty great standards for what the current best practice is for asking and posing response options for participants. And Richard, you're absolutely right. Offering a prefer not to answer or like an other please specify is always a great idea to offer participants that or respondents that additional kind of flexibility if they wish to skip this type of question. All right, so question number 2, how old are you? And we've got some response options there. Would anyone like to take a shot at this one and how, whether you think it's fine just the way it is, or if you have any suggestions for improving it? Just in case you're not as used to Zoom as I am, but there should be where it says more, I believe you can use no, not more. Where's the raise hand function? Does everybody know where it is? Not react. Maybe Ashley can help us with this.
I believe it's the react.
It is the react.
Yeah,
yes.
React.
So if you hit react with just the heart icon at the bottom, you're able to use the raise hand function.
We also have some responses in the chat.
Okay, fantastic. Let me open that up. So the ranges overlap. Yes. Thanks again, Richard. So yeah, exactly. There is overlap. And so if I'm 25, I could select B or I could select C. And not everybody may respond the same way. And so you want to make sure that your response options are, one, exhaustive. They cover the entire range possible for your respondents, but also that there is no scenario in which 2 options could apply. And so, yeah, that's absolutely it. Thanks again. And we have another comment. If interested in these age ranges, this question is okay. Yep. But if interested in their specific age, yep, absolutely. It also depends on if you just want to look at the broader buckets of ages, or if you want to get more granular, right? Like how important is it for you to know the age ranges of your respondents down to the year, down to the 5-year kind of bucket, or does it not really matter, in which case you could go a little broader? That's a fantastic suggestion, April. Yeah, absolutely. All right, question number 3, where do you live? Clearly a very exhaustive list of places you could live. Any thoughts on this one? I think I already kind of mentioned it. Obviously, not an exhaustive list of possible accommodations that people could live at. You know, that's just one thing. Also, where do you live probably could be worded better, right? Where do you live could be more geographical, right? Or like, what is the kind of accommodation, right? Or like the dwelling. Usually it's referred to as a dwelling type. And so we offer a lot of feedback that's around just like how a question is usually asked. And there's you know, just these common practices that someone outside of survey research day in and day out may not be as familiar with, and you end up with a question like this. And then finally, question number 4, how was your experience? I don't know about you guys, but mind-blowing. I feel like could go either way. Like I feel like the intention here was that it's really great. This is like the high end of the of the scale here, but this is definitely not a standard scale. You want to make sure, amongst many other things, that scales are balanced. The options are incredibly unclear. Thank you, Ridwan. Yeah, absolutely. There's better practice scales that are used to gauge experience or satisfaction and that type of thing. And again, this is just the kind of thing that we have in our toolkit that we typically give to our researchers when they come in for these consultations. All right, thank you everybody for joining the activity. we're going to continue with another kind of reflection on a question. This time it's not made up. It wasn't drafted by like an RA in a lab or something. This is an actual national survey that went out to like thousands of people. So this was, I can't remember when this was, but this went out to Canadians, and it was a survey to gauge just voting behavior and that type of thing. So as you can see there, the question is, Canadians should have the option to cast their vote online in federal elections, even if it is less secure. And the scale goes from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Any thoughts about why this question may or may not be problematic? If you think this is a great question, just the way it is, feel free to say so. But if anybody has any thoughts why this question may be worded better. And it's a very, very subtle thing in the question itself. So the scale is fine. So this is what we mean when we say like a balanced scale, right? There's a midpoint and you've got like a balanced tail on each side. And the slight, if nobody has any ideas or wants to suggest anything. So April says the question's made up of 2 parts. Yep, that's a great suggestion. Yep, people may agree with one, but not the other. Totally. And I also, and that's absolutely true. Like when questions are double-barreled, we call them, so made up of 2 separate parts, it absolutely confuses respondents. You end up with responses that are not addressing kind of the full extent of the question. They're just focused on one part or the other, and it introduces a whole host of issues. And this is one of the biggest recurring problems that people have with their questions. April, you are absolutely spot on. The other thing that you may notice about this question is that it's a little bit leading, right? There's an implication here in the way that the question is worded, is that casting votes online in federal elections is less secure. That's what you're saying. And therefore, like, obviously you should not agree with it. Like, who would actually agree with, or, you know, strongly agree with doing something that would be less secure? And so this is absolutely introducing bias potentially in the respondent behavior and in the data. And the final question that we're going to be showing you, again, real, you can't make this stuff up. Members of parliament that always support policies that they think are best for their constituents, even if their constituents disagree, or, oh, sorry, and it starts with which would you prefer? That first part, or members of parliament that always support policies that their constituents want, even if the MPs themselves personally disagree. And then you have the response options there. On the left, MPs do what they feel is best, or MPs do what their constituents want. And say it with me, everybody, and April. This is obviously very much like asking about 2 separate things. You may have an opinion about, you may feel strongly about both parts of that question, right? But the biggest kind of very glaring issue here is look at those boxes. Do you feel like these boxes are made equally, like they're created and presented equally, or does one grab your attention a little bit more? Like, I feel like it's pretty common sense, right, to assume that you want to present options kind of on an equal level ground so that you're not biasing participants or respondents to respond a certain way. And so there's a clear problem with even just the visual presentation of the response options. All right, we can move on, but I hope that was a good kind of idea of the kinds of questions that come up in surveys, and some of the, you know, more common sense that you would think things in the way that you design your questionnaire and program your survey. But, you know, looking at this national survey that went out to all Canadians clearly is not that, it's not that straightforward, and these things can fall through the cracks. questionnaire design, question design, and how you word questions is just one example of some of the practices that complicate analyses and can potentially introduce problems in your data that you'll be using. So other issues that we commonly see with questionnaire elements such as not including the right kind of scales or not including more neutral options. Yeah, Hannah's absolutely right. Like, it's always also good to see what the actual like visual side of the survey looks like, right? Like how it's going to be seen by respondents, and putting yourself in the respondents' shoes and seeing like how it could impact their responses one way or another before you launch it, ideally. Other practices that we often see impact the quality of the data that you end up with and your response rates for surveys and questionnaires is having too many open-ended questions. Believe it or not everybody wants to sit there and type out essay after essay after essay on a questionnaire. There is happy middle ground, and there is kind of a right ratio of close-ended to open-ended questions depending on the survey length. Things that relate to programming the actual survey. So Qualtrics may seem super intuitive and like it looks like anybody could just put questions on Qualtrics. At least that's how I felt when I first saw Qualtrics. But programming things like skip logic and different kind of things that you're able to do with the back end of Qualtrics and how you program the survey has huge impacts on the experience and the survey flow, but also your data and how it turns out. And finally, on the more like data analysis and cleaning side of things, we see all the time that people take it at face value. They take the entire data set that comes out and they use every last response. There's no kind of screening for certain red flags in the data. So not doing any kind of data cleaning, which introduces a whole host of problems to your data set. And then also things like bots that can be introduced maybe through posting open links on social media for everybody to take my survey, and especially problematic if you offer an incentive along with those. So on the next slide, we kind of dive into this a little bit. Bots are a huge challenge facing survey researchers, but honestly, everybody in the new age of AI and the sophistication that some of these programs have reached, where they're truly sophisticated at like, appearing like they're very, very much human, when this entire like line of data is just a bot doing your survey. And so not only do researchers waste a ton of money in like incentives, for example, that they're sending to these bot farms, potentially the bigger issue, in my opinion, is the integrity of your data, right? You want to make sure that real humans are doing your survey and providing real human responses. And so we offer a very tried and true approach to how you can look at your data and kind of screen for certain red flags that may indicate the presence of bots or bot attacks in your data, but also, how to be more proactive about preventing your vulnerability to bots to begin with. So things about how you set up your survey links, how you advertise your survey, and how you interact with respondents, and a lot of different approaches that we have had to try and use in order to hopefully get ahead of this bot issue that's facing everybody. And so again, I've already mentioned this, like it can be very resource intensive in terms of offering incentives to like bad data and all these bots that are taking your survey, but it also can be very time consuming when you have to sort through row after row after row of potentially fraudulent data. And so we have a ton of experience, lots of tools in our toolkit, if you will, that we've accumulated over the years for how we can identify and prevent bot attacks and fraudulent data. And that's just one reason in this lovely diagram of the many reasons why the SCSRU is a great first step to just get some consultation on any kind of survey research that you do. Any questions that you may have, we're a very easygoing bunch. You can just schedule that consultation, think about how we can best use the time that we have, and then we can make recommendations for how to proceed after that. Experience with bots is just one way that we can help you. We also have helped countless graduate students, postdocs, faculty members, and independent researchers to improve funding applications, really have those rigorous standards for survey research when you're thinking about, potentially publishing your research after, submitting it to your committee for your defense, those types of things, but also a full suite of services that we can manage projects for you, run, program, and collect data on your behalf, and also make sure that we support our students by offering those kind of free consultations on survey design and questionnaire design. Another really awesome service that the SCSRU provides is we run an annual omnibus survey called the Waterloo Region Matters Survey. An omnibus survey is just a survey that's has a bunch of questions from different researchers, and respondents get the survey and provide data for different projects through that. And so WORMS, as we like to call it, the Waterloo Region Matters Survey, is one of the only panel survey, or we have one of the only panels in the Waterloo region where we provide this annual service to faculty members, to independent researchers, even external clients. It could be graduate students, it could be anybody who wants to include some survey questions in a survey, but not have the funding or the time to run it themselves, and not have a whole lot of need for running their own standalone survey project. And so the next slide goes into WORMS a little bit more. Basically, it is just a survey that includes a bunch of questions from different researchers. And again, it's a really great way for students or faculty members who are maybe lower on funding to include some of their questions, collect data through a really great panel that we have access to, and the data is weighted afterwards as well, and collect their data at a reduced cost. So if this is something that may be interesting to you, your supervisor, this could be something that you talk to them about. Oftentimes, hiring an RA, or even as a graduate student, you're tight on time, you're tight on resources, and this could be one way that you can outsource data collection for some survey questions to include in your research. So we have a link here and the QR code as well that will take you to the page about, I think, WORMS specifically. And if you can hit the forward arrow, Lindsay, I think there's some transitions there. You could just, if you're ever unsure about our services or whether your research can benefit from our services, you could just go to this link. This is what it looks like on our homepage. You could just hit the tab that says, this is so small, our services. There we go. And it's there's a box there that shows you. And underneath survey research, you could just hit the tab that says request our services or obtain a quote. And it takes you to a form that you fill out. You can include as many or as few details as you want, and we'll follow up with you to see how we can best support you. And with that, I will hand it off to Jocelyn, who will talk to you about our statistical consulting side of things.
Thanks, Ren. Hi, everyone. My name is Jocelyn. I am the Senior Statistician at the Statistical Consulting and Survey Research Unit. So my main task is to lead a team of PhD students to provide, these students are from the statistical and actual science department. We provide statistical support to various researchers across campus. As you know that there are various types of statistical tools that are available. So in general, we have been able to help most of the topics that come up with are study design, biostatistics, survey analysis, time series, design experiments. Of course, there are other topics that are more complex, and we'll definitely be able to help you with that. If you need more tailored services, so for example, if you need us to help with conducting the analysis for you directly, or some of your project may be more unique and need some more tailored statistical analysis, we do recommend something called a collaborative service, where we can dedicate more time to customize the statistical methods for your research study. Next. Our service is free, so we offer free statistical advice to all the researchers on campus. We help with the design of experiments and studies most of the time. We are able to help you select proper statistical methods, interpret the results from the various statistical tools that you have. And these services can be obtained through the statistical help desk. And we do all these appointments online. You can schedule an appointment with us through the link over there. Oftentimes, we also offer statistical workshops. Oops, next. Oh, was there workshop slides? Yes, there we go. Workshops for everybody that to attend. The workshop range from statistics for beginners, where we review a lot of the statistics that you learn from Stat 101. And for those who wants to learn R, which is a similarly increasingly popular software, I would recommend you to join us for R for beginners. A lot of attendees have said that that is a great place to start if you have never touched R before and you want to learn something new. We start from the basic by even turning on R, in how to click each of the buttons on there. And so I thought that would be a very useful tool, especially R is a free statistical tool. For those who are looking for more exciting and more useful methodology for their own research, we also offer statistics workshops on Poisson regression, linear regression, logistic regression for binary data. I think in the next couple in September, we may offer the workshop related to survival data analysis or something about linear mixed effect models. So these are for those who have repeated measurement studies, you may be interested. One of our most popular workshops would be the, I would say, the guide for developing survey questionnaires. A lot of students were never taught how to properly design a survey questionnaire. So the person who conducts the workshop is a very experienced researchers who will be able to provide you tips and tricks for developing high quality survey questions and how you can design the answer options so that you can get quality data from the survey that you have. And for those who wants to try to program their survey in Qualtrics, I do strongly recommend that you attend the survey programming in Qualtrics workshop. Our programmer shares all the tips that he has learned in the last few years. Hopefully it will benefit you as well. So how do we sign up for our workshop? We have various mailing lists, but if you're interested only for our workshop only, there is a QR code for you. But I also recommend you to sign up for a newsletter, because then there are a lot of exciting things that we share. A lot of useful, sometimes we share some useful materials about survey data analysis as well. Pass it back.
All righty. Thanks so much, Jocelyn. Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah. I'll be talking about our current projects and partnerships. So now that you've seen what we can do, let us show you what we're currently working on. So one of the projects that's very near and dear to my heart is the Student Experience Survey, which I'm sure you're familiar with or have seen advertised on campus. The SCS is an institutional survey that's run in collaboration with Institutional Analysis and Planning, and it runs twice a year. We've worked with various partners on campus like the Stratford School, the Sustainability Offices, the Indigenous Office, and more. This is a survey that has some core questions, and then it is almost an omnibus survey where we do allow different units to put their own questions in at the end. And this just ensures that we're not emailing students a million times every term, which I'm sure some of you can appreciate. It's designed to be a short pulse survey that goes out a couple times a year so that we can track trends over time. This is a pretty popular design with longitudinal surveys. The survey is also designed to be very flexible to allow for timely data to be collected in relation to current events and initiatives. And the purpose of it is to inform strategic decisions at the university. You might have participated in past surveys, and I know that there is a grad SCS going out sometime next year. So if you're still around, make sure you participate because we do look at your responses and they are influencing policies at university. Another survey that you might be familiar with that we do on campus is the Campus Community Survey. This one is live right now, so if you haven't done it, please go check your emails and do it. Again, this is a survey that we work with in collaboration with IAP, and it is informing strategic planning and policies at the university. This, similar to WORMS, is a true omnibus survey. So we have different groups on campus. We have the Accessibility Office, Campus Wellness, the Office of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Anti-Racism, as well as the Sexual Violence Prevention and Response Office. They've all provided us questions that are specific to them, and we've combined them all into this one larger survey so we can cover a broad range of topics in a short period of time and in one survey rather than 4 shorter surveys. So this is beneficial to the respondents as it's less of a load on their end, as well as all of the clients because they get all their data in one nice, neat package at the end. The survey is currently open to all eligible undergrad and grad students. So if you were a student at the beginning of May, you should have gotten an email. And very exciting, if you submit your responses, you can be entered into a prize draw. The most exciting thing, I think, in the prize basket is the Yeti Cup and the $100 W Store gift card, which you could use to buy some fun things at the W Store. Yes, but we do other projects that are not just focused specifically on students or with IAP. We are also working in collaboration with the Center for Teaching Excellence to help staff and faculty run their own research surveys on how to better teach students. And this is done through the Learning, Innovation, and Teaching Enhancement grants, or LIGHT grants. So essentially, instructors and staff can apply to this grant to help them investigate small scale teaching and learning research projects. We have a couple that we've done over the past few years, and this research has helped these professors basically streamline how they teach and identify what students actually want in a classroom. And so we provide our expertise on reviewing the survey design and flow, programming surveys, data analysis. And what's great with these projects is they're very flexible. So because the grants are pretty small, we only provide the services that are needed to the clients. And we can do this for anyone else as well. We're very flexible about accommodating the needs. So if you only need survey review, we can do that. If you only need us to program your survey, we can do that. We will review your questions because we want to make sure what we're programming is useful to you. But if you only need data analysis, we can do that as well. So it's a very choose your own adventure approach to doing a survey in relation to what services that you need from us. We also work with the International Tobacco Control Policy Survey, or ITC. This is actually run by the Department of Psychology at UW. We've been working with them on this project since 2010, so it's been a really long partnership, which has been great for both of us. As you may have guessed, this project examines the impacts of methanol bans across Canada and internationally. So some of the other regions that we have surveyed include the USA, Europe, and Australia. So while we do have experience at surveying students and people in Canada, we do also have experience working internationally and making sure that survey questions reflect different cultures and different situations. Speaking on that international lens, we also work on the International Social Survey Program, or ISSP. This survey is run by Dr. Sarah Wilkins-Lafun, and she's actually our associate director, which is very nice. So the ISSP focuses on Canada's attitudes towards various topics such as immigration, democracy, and our country's role on the international stage. The data that we collect for Sarah is then compared to surveys conducted in up to 43 other countries to compare how Canada feels about these topics versus other countries in the world. The survey is conducted annually for 5 years, and our Canadian branch is actually the first to do this survey over the web versus other groups who are still doing it over the telephone. And telephone surveys are typically more expensive as they are more time intensive, and more people are likely to do a web survey just because that is the culture of things now. So it's great that we're able to collect data over the web for this group and help them save some money. As the SCSRU, as a unit, we also promote students to get published. So this is more on the stats consulting side of things. The names in pink are some of the stats students who have been able to get their names on some published papers, which is very exciting. So Jocelyn's students, if they help a team with any sort of statistical analysis, they're able to get their name into a paper. So if you're interested in anything like that, let us know. We want to be able to increase your mark on the world and get your name on as many papers as possible. Yes. We also do a lot of other external clients. Most of these are other universities on a wide range of topics, but we also do a lot of polling and healthcare surveys. For example, we've worked with the Canadian Cancer Society and CAMH, and as you can see here, a lot of different universities. So we have a wide range of experience in a variety of disciplines and with a variety of different clients. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. And we have, I believe, about 10 minutes if anyone has any questions. You can either raise your hand or put them in the chat.
And feel free to use the Q&A function as well. But yeah, we'll see it wherever it gets posted. While you're thinking about writing your questions or letting them know, I will let you know about the next Grad Navigate event that will be coming up on June 19th. I'll pop it in the chat as well. It'll be on Predatory Publishing. But yeah, I'm not seeing any questions on my end.
No, I don't see any either.
If anyone thinks of anything in the future, like please never hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to support you in any way that we can with any of your research needs.
So there is
yeah.
one question that's popped up.
Yes, I just saw that. Yeah, you can ask for a free consult on the website. So you can either email us or you can fill out the form to request a quote, and you can just say you want a free consult.
Oh, and looks like one other has come up in the Q&A. Says, what if you don't see any spots available for consultations?
Would this be in relation to the stats consulting, I'm assuming?
It doesn't specify, but I'm assuming that maybe the person went to the booking system. Oh, they say yes.
Yes. Okay. Jocelyn, would you maybe be able to answer that one?
So I think this is at the end of, so we swap our consultants every month. So the next round of the time will be posted by the end of the week.
right. Any other questions for the team here? All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, Reem, Hannah, and Jocelyn. I really appreciate you coming out to Grad Navigate to present. Oh, we might be having another question in here.
Oh, yes.
There is a question. There we go.
Yeah, so the question is, if they're working on a project funded, approved by any other institution, can they still seek support for data analysis? Yes, you can. Just send us an email or fill out any of the forms about a quote, and we can get in touch with you and chat about your situation and what we can do to help.
Perfect. All right. And so, yes, again, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to contact them as well if anything comes up after today's presentation. And if you want to go back and review some of the content from today's presentation, remember this was recorded, so we will be posting it, linking it to some information on our website, and I'll send out the recording link as well to those who registered in case those missed it or wanted to go back. Alrighty, I hope everyone has a great day. Hope to see you at some other Grad Navigate events, and thank you so much to the presenters today.
Thanks, Ashley.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.